Ever wanted to get that timeless herringbone flooring in your home? It's easier than you think. First things first, you'll need to prepare your floor. Start by removing the skirting board and clearing any debris from the floor. You'll want to grab some gloves to protect your hands. Put down appropriate underlay, such as these wood fibre underlay tiles, making sure the entire floor is covered and secured with foil underlay tape. Before we get carried away with laying, we need to do some planning. Find the center point of your room by measuring the width from your furthest walls and mark. The chevrons that make up the herringbone will run along this center point. You may want the pattern to run towards a feature such as a bay window or fireplace. And if you like, you can include a border in your design. Very nice! The easiest way to get a straight line is to use a chalk line. Start at one end of the room and pull it across through the marks you've made. Make sure it's nice and taut, and snap. Now, let's build the first piece of the puzzle. We're going to start with creating the first straight edge against your border or wall. Click your first 5 planks together following this chevron pattern to make your starting triangle. Grabbing a floor installation kit along with a rubber mallet will make this easy. The tapping block will ensure that all your joins are flush. Precision here is key. Then add an extra board to the left side, keeping the tongue and groove system direction consistent. Use a long spirit level or straight edge to mark where you will trim into your starting triangle. We'd recommend numbering each piece so you don't lose track of which is which. And don't forget to always use protective wear before cutting anything. Use a jigsaw to cut along your lines. Rebuild your triangle using your numbers and keep your offcuts. Now it's time to begin. Choose your starting wall, remembering your features. Your starting triangle will point away from this wall. Decided to add a border? Place just the section of border for your starting wall. Use the same wood or a complementing design. Add 7mm spaces to create an expansion gap around the edges. For your corners, measure the width of your corner piece and mark. An angle measurer is a very handy tool for corners to easily and precisely calculate the angle. Mark and cut your piece to fit and keep using spacers to stay flush with the wall. Now, position your starting triangle. Be sure to align the point with your chalk line. Now you can start to build your first run to the opposite end of the room. Be sure it's flush and straight to the chalk as you go. We don't want wobbly lines. Head back the other way with your planks. Once you reach your border or the wall, measure and trim the necessary amount. Lay the rest of the floor before trimming the shortest pieces, and don't forget you can use your offcuts. Now onto the edges. Let's start with our no border option. Just spin your board around. Mark your length and angle just like before, and trim to size. Make sure to check it fits flush with your spacer. Switch to the pull bar to tighten the edge pieces easily. A quick tap should do. And use those offcuts to fill in the remaining gaps. Doorways are easier to deal with than you think. First, you'll need to trim the architrave to allow for the height of the floor. A spare board is perfect as a guide. Just flip it over. Pick up a multi-tool and easily slice away. A perfect fit. Don't forget to trim the doorstop as well. If you're taking the design right to the threshold, you may need to remove a section of your board to make it fit around the doorway corner. First, mark the board length on our fitted board and measure the distance from the mark to the wall at 90 degrees. This is where the board will meet the wall. Translate that distance onto our new plank and mark. Grab your trusty angle measurer to find the wall angle. Line the angle measurer up with the edge of the plank and the new mark. Use it to draw a line across the board. Go back to where your board will meet the wall and measure to the end of the obstacle. Mark that distance along the line you just drew. Reuse your previous angle on the opposite side. Draw a line from this angle to meet your previous line. This will give you the area you need to cut out. Just go step by step and you'll nail it. All you need to do now is fill those gaps. You can use glue on these for extra security. For getting around pesky pipes properly, use the angle measurer to mark the pipe width. And make sure the line is nice and straight along the board. Next, measure the distance from the wall. And use a spade drill bit to create a circle. Use the jigsaw to cut along your straight lines towards the hole, and don't throw the offcut away. Slide the board into place and glue the offcut into the gap. Got to complete your border? Use the width of your border to mark a line along the floor. Grab a circular saw with adjustable height and adjust the height to match the thickness of your flooring. Slowly and carefully cut along your guideline. Install your border all around the edge of the room, staggering the joints. And don't forget the spacers. You'll probably need to trim a bit to fit the doorway. A simple measuring tape will do the job here, but don't forget to leave a gap for your threshold bar. Then finish off around pipes using the same technique as earlier. Now for some finishing touches. Remove all the spacers and pop the skirting board back into place. Choose a threshold bar based on the flooring either side of your doorway, and add sleeves on visible pipework for a smarter finish. All that's left to do now is add your personal touches and get cozy to enjoy the results.